luxury. What does it mean?
Well, you know, luxury comes from the Latin word for lux. Lux is light. So the enlightened. And I think we are in the epicenter of luxury, as it is here, right on Grand Army Plaza, across from the Plaza Hotel.
When do you remember experiencing luxury first?
Oh, you know, without knowing it, for me, luxury was having much time with my dad, who would take me on long excursions and trips to talk about art, go to a concert. And then I had a somewhat brief period of indulging in more, you know, the worldly luxuries of whatever, driving a sports car and stuff like that.
The luxury of time with our loved ones, which is short and sweet. You think that spending time with your dad like that, those memories, those are a luxury you had?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And you know, you could tell when something is true and it stays with you and it's very close to your heart. You know, and after all these years and decades, you know, I still cherish those moments.
Do you think memory, just like objects, they start accruing value with time, like a ring, like a lingot?
They do, absolutely, and even more.
Nowadays, a lot of people talk about that, right?
Priceless. No?
About memories, people spending more time on memories and what you do instead of on things. And yet there's an interesting relationship between something that you can touch, you can feel, smell, but you lived. Tell me about the luxury of memory.
You know, one of the very first luxury of memory, that's a beautiful term, and it's so true. One of the very early childhood memories of mine is that, you know, going to the Müller Museum in Holland with my dad, and there's a sculpture park, and with very contemporary art. And that was in the late 60s when I first saw a Richard Serra. And the Richard Serra steel plates, basically, in this Dutch flat, sandy landscape. And when I talk about this right now, I can taste, almost have the taste of the rust on the steel plates.
Why the taste?
Of, you know, how the...
But why the taste? Because
it's something that is so visceral to me. Still, to this day, you know, it's almost like if you... Well, I was little. I was 4 or 5 years old, you know. I would get close to the sculpture. I would almost smell the iron or the steel and the rust, you know, and those things are still with me. So there is a luxury of memory.
So
yes.
How will you gauge the value of travel, of a moment, versus the value of something that you collect or wear?
I think that that there's not an easy answer to that, because you can do a lot of traveling and you're staying at 5-star hotels all the time and you're going to the best restaurants, and all is a blend and you'll never remember anything because it all blurs together. And you can be in an afternoon with a cup of coffee at Union Square, and that moment with the sun hitting a certain building and the grass and whatnot, that can be a memory that can stay with you.
Well, tell me about objects, the art. When were you aware of some places or things that were more luxurious, worthy than others? And by what metrics? What made you think that those things were indeed better? To put a word.
That moment, that afternoon moment at Union Square that I experienced experienced in October of 1987 when I was visiting New York. I can still recall that in a moment. I could paint it for you. But there's also moments of walking through Rome, or walking through last year, or walking through Jerusalem 5 years ago, and experiencing the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall, that are still very, I cherish those as luxurious moments.
Do you think that that luxury has lost its value from what it was 100 years ago?
It's different, no? I think it changed. It changed from the perception of it changed. It's much more commercial. And that's something that I'm interested in my art making.
In speaking of art, what about, for example, Monet painting fetching up incredible amounts, or like Leonardo's
Salvator Mundi.
Salvador Mundi.
And last year with the Paul Allen auction, the Monet painting and the Renoir paintings, basically $150 million and things like that at Christie's.
Is there anything as an artist that bothers you about how your work is taken as a commodity? Like, what is luxury to you as an artist? You think about a Modigliani, and you think about his life and how tortured it was.
I think there's a disconnect between what artists experience in terms of the experience of art making and the joys of ideation, and seeing the idea become reality in an artwork, in a piece of art. And on the other hand, what is art market? No, and the art market, the so-called art world, that treats art as a commodity, where it's dollars and cents. It ends up in walls. It is a thing to be purchased as an investment and sold with a maximized revenue. Those things are not connected in my mind.
Do you think that the art world doesn't properly quantify the value of the experience of the artist?
I think there's a deception there. The deception is that it almost moves from the artist's experience to a contractual financial agreement, and in that is included a lie. There's a set of lies in there. It is taking one story and a piece of beauty and moments of beauty, of great beauty, and turning it into dollars and cents. And that there's a disconnect now. And that disconnect happens on the surface.
How much do you think it's a matter of people that come into the art world thinking that this is an industry where I'm going to get wealthy? I get into luxury because I'm going to make money out of the 1%. Like, what do you think about what is the price of luxury in this world?
There's a high price to pay for that, because you have to immerse yourself or submerge yourself in, and all is a blend, and you'll never remember anything because it all blurs together. Rolex, let's say, has if we were interested in purchasing one of their beautiful watches right now, they would tell us, oh wait, there's a wait list, right, for the Daytona or for the GMT or something, the Datejust. But there is, of course, an aftermarket. You can go to Sotheby's. I get the emails from Christie's, and you can purchase the pre-owned GMT Master or the Datejust three or four times the amount that they're telling you the retail prices. And in a sense, similar things happen in the art world also. But as an artist, I am interested in this sort of like space where retail and the perceived commercial luxuries meet with art.
What is the end of luxury?
In 1612 or so in Holland, there was what became known as tulip mania. And it was this incredible run that got more frenzied, more and more and more, and within a short amount of time, it all collapsed. And I don't think that this sort of like art world, the world of luxury as we know it, is going to have an endless lifespan, but it's going to collapse like something that was experienced with tulip mania. But what is not going to collapse is, of course, art making and beautiful art and beauty as an eternal value, like truth and beauty.